Hey everyone, welcome back to This Explainer. There are movies that just tell you a story, and then there are those rare ones that, when the credits roll, actually start telling you something deeply profound about yourself. Today, we're setting a bit of a cinematic stage. We're using Paolo Sorrentino's film Parthenope to dive into a really heavy existential concept. We're going to explore the massive gap between simply looking at life and truly seeing it.
So let's just dive right into this. There's this amazing pivotal moment in the film where an anthropology professor hits the main character with a seriously piercing truth. He says, anthropology is seeing. Seeing is very difficult. And I want to establish this right out of the gate. Observing reality, like the actual reality right in front of us, without imposing all our own prejudices, is an incredibly difficult task for us humans to master.
Section 1. Looking is not seeing.
Let's break down this crucial contrast. You see, the young protagonist in the film, Parthenope, is constantly looked at, right? She's desired and imagined by others, but she's rarely actually seen for who she is. Basically, looking is a passive act. It just registers information with our eyes, imposes our own prejudices, and really just seeks to confirm what we already believe. Looking basically says, oh, I already know what this is. But seeing is an entirely different beast. Seeing is an encounter. It requires this immense vulnerability to actually tolerate contradictions, to accept the unexpected, and to let reality genuinely surprise us.
Moving on to Section 2. The 3 blindnesses of life.
So our ability to truly see evolves as we get older. Think about it. During our youth, we're completely blinded by desire. We are literally like actors inside a movie, participating so intensely that we totally lack the critical distance needed to observe the plot of our own lives. We just want to be loved. And that's exactly why desire blinds us. It forces us to only look for what satisfies our cravings. But then we hit adulthood, and suddenly we're blinded by ambition. Everything gets commodified. A beautiful landscape becomes a vacation experience. A casual conversation becomes networking. Time becomes productivity. We aren't seeing things for what they are. We're seeing them for what they can do for our goals. Finally, in old age, these filters are stripped away. As we lose that youth and status, true sight actually begins to reveal what was always there.
Which brings us to a really piercing question. Do we have to lose something to discover its value? We really have to ask ourselves whether we're too busy building a life to actually live it and appreciate it in the present moment. It's a pretty heavy thought to sit with, isn't it?
Section 3. Why we deny obvious truths.
It's not just our age that blinds us. We have these deep-rooted societal filters that cause us to interpret the world way too quickly, which explains why we just ignore reality staring us right in the face. To distill this, let's look at 3 brilliant thinkers. First, Nietzsche warned that we slap labels on reality and then conveniently forget that we were the ones who invented those labels in the first place. Then you have Heidegger, who argued that even our desires are manufactured by society. We basically just want what we're told to want. And Foucault pointed out that power structures make certain truths entirely invisible to us. All these structures completely prevent us from seeing our own reality clearly.
Section 4. How to truly see the other.
Now, what's really fascinating here is how these barriers show up in our personal lives. The psychoanalyst Jacques Lacan exposes the profound fragility behind love. With this gut-punch realization, we fall in love with people we have invented. Think about that. When we look at a partner, we're often looking through the lens of our own lack, our fantasies, and our own expectations. We aren't seeing who they truly are. We're seeing a promise of what we need them to be. We're literally just looking at a fantasy.
And the philosopher Emmanuel Levinas relates this perfectly to our everyday relationships. He says that if you try to fully explain or categorize someone, that is actually a form of possession. You're reducing them to make them manageable. Truly seeing someone means accepting that you will never, ever completely understand them. True sight requires tolerating mystery, It means letting go of the urge to shove someone into a neat little box.
Section 5. The tragedy of seeing late.
This is where it gets tough, because seeing is completely irreversible. Often, true sight only arrives after reality forcefully breaks our comfortable little narratives. And once that illusion breaks, whether you realize a friend was just using you or a romance wasn't actually real, you can never return to your previous blindness. Innocent conversations suddenly take on a whole new meaning. Isolated situations form a painfully clear pattern. Blindness allowed you to comfortably keep those people in your life, but true vision might force you to lose them entirely.
Section 6. The hidden price of seeing.
So, removing our protective illusions leaves us completely vulnerable to the damage reality can inflict. But it's also the only way we can transform our daily gaze. True seeing isn't just gathering information, it's allowing reality to dismantle our lives and force us to change our behaviors. For instance, look at aging. Protective looking ignores the body, while vulnerable seeing forces us to modify how we live. In relationships, protective looking ignores red flags. Vulnerable seeing means accepting our desire was dead wrong. And when it comes to truth, while we naturally seek closure to protect ourselves, true seeing demands that we accept messy contradictions.
So the absolutely crucial point here is what the philosopher Theodor Adorno called negative dialectics, which basically means there is no synthesis. Humans desperately want closure, but life contains unresolved contradictions. Youth contains old age, beauty contains its disappearance, life contains death. True wisdom requires accepting these contradictions. It means accepting reality without demanding a neat, comforting, Hollywood-style conclusion. And this brilliantly illustrates the heartbreaking sequence of life, showing Parthenope's journey and, honestly, our own, from youth to old age. First, we look, then we desire, then we pursue, then we lose, then we remember, and finally, maybe, we see. Tragically, knowledge almost always arrives late.
Now, I want to direct this back to you. What is right in front of your eyes today that one day you will discover you never truly saw? What conversation, what person, what era of your life are you taking for granted right now while you still have it?
I'm going to leave you with this final, somewhat uncomfortable question. What truth must you accept today if you stop looking for what you want to find and you finally dare to see what is really there? I challenge you to strip away your illusions today. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.